Hi, I'm AnewZ, and you're watching AnewZ Weekend. Here are the headlines. North Korea vows toughest counteraction following joint South Korea-US drills, conducts strategic cruise missile test. U.S. President Donald Trump says he may consider rejoining the World Health Organization. Tens of thousands gathered at Berlin to protest the rise of the far right ahead of Germany's snap elections. North Korea conducted yet another strategic cruise missile test, as reported by state media KCNA on Sunday, after joining military training by the U.S. and South Korea.
North Korea's foreign ministry vowed the toughest counteraction against the United States as long as Washington refuses Pyongyang's sovereignty, state news agency KCNA reported on Sunday. The military alliance and joint drills between South Korea and the US were to blame for the growing tensions in the region, the ministry said in a statement carried by KCNA. As a result of this, the country's leader Kim Jong-un oversaw the test on Saturday, according to the report, which described it as a test fire of an important weapon system.
Kim Jong-un emphasized that the Republic's military's war deterrence capabilities are being more thoroughly strengthened, and also affirmed that we will always make strenuous efforts in a responsible manner to perform its important mission and duty for defending sustainable and lasting peace and stability on the basis of more powerfully developed military power in the future.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said North Korea fired multiple cruise missiles from inland areas towards waters of the west coast at around 4 p.m. on Saturday. The underwater-to-surface strategic cruise missiles traveled 1,500 kilometers and flew around 2 hours and 5 minutes before hitting their targets, North Korean state news agency KCNA reported.
In the United States, President Donald Trump has hinted at a possibility of rejoining the World Health Organization. This comes after signing an executive order to withdraw the country.
United States President Donald Trump says he may consider rejoining the World Health Organization after signing an executive order to withdraw the United States on his first day in office. Trump's decision to withdraw comes as he accused the World Health Organization, which gets a fifth of its budget from the U.S., of ripping America off, claiming unfairness in what the United States pays in comparison to China.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me.
Now the United States president hints of a possible return to the World Health Organization after reduced figures have been discussed.
They offered me at 39 million. They said, we'll let you back in at 39. So we're going to reduce it from 500 to 39. I turned them down because it became so popular. I didn't know if it would be well received even at 39. But maybe we would consider doing it again. I don't know. Maybe we would. They have to clean it up a little bit. But China pays 39 million for 1.4 billion, and we're paying 500 million for 325 million. I don't know. What the hell is wrong with these people?
Trump's decision to withdraw the United States from the World Health Organization has been met with concern by United Nations agencies and the European Union, who believe the funding from the U.S. has been crucial to the success of the organization.
For over 7 decades, WHO and the United States of America have saved countless lives and protected Americans and all people from health threats. Together, we ended smallpox, and together we have brought polio to the brink of eradication. American institutions have contributed to and benefited from membership in WHO.
We see with concerns the announcement to withdraw from the WHO organization by the United States, and we trust that the US administration will consider all this ahead of the formal withdrawal.
The United States is scheduled to leave the World Health Organization on January 22, 2026. If this is achieved, experts believe it could lead to delayed responses to major disease outbreaks.
The Israeli army released a video of 4 female soldiers who had been held by Hamas and were flown to Israel for medical treatment. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, the homecoming of a Palestinian prisoner, Mohammed al-Arida, was met with joy and celebration.
4 Israeli soldiers, Karina Ariev, Daniela Gilboa, Naama Levy, and Liri Albag, were released by Hamas and transported by military helicopter to Israel. They had been held captive by Hamas since the October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel. Video footage shows them on board the aircraft with their families, writing messages of thanks on whiteboards. Liri Albag wrote, "I'm back," and Naama Levy displayed a sign saying, "Finally home, thank you Israeli nation." The ceasefire, which began on January 19th, has brought a rare pause in the fighting, allowing for the release of these hostages as part of an ongoing truce. This truce, brokered by Qatar and Egypt and supported by the United States, has enabled the exchange of prisoners, with 200 Palestinians released in return for the 4 soldiers. In another development, Mohammed al-Arida, a Palestinian prisoner held in Israeli jails, was released and returned home to the West Bank. Al-Arida, who had been imprisoned for his involvement in militant activities, was greeted by his family and a large crowd. Al-Arida's release was part of the broader ceasefire agreement, which has brought about a temporary halt in the violence that has plagued the region for over a year.
Many people want me to talk about what happened in Gaza. I say, and will always say, the earth will not bring to life, from day one until the end of the world, a place as precious, full of dignity, brave, generous and loyal as Gaza.
Today can't be described. I can't stand myself. I couldn't believe that he was going to be released. Everyone was coming to me and showing his picture, and I said, "This is not Mohammed." Now, when I saw him, I started to shout, "My beloved son."
The release of these prisoners signals a rare moment of peace, with further negotiations expected. As the situation evolves, both Israeli and Palestinian authorities hope this truce could pave the way for more releases and potentially end the long-standing hostilities.
Polling stations have opened across Belarus for the presidential election, with incumbent Alexander Lukashenko expected to secure another term after a high early voter turnout. Early voting, which took place from January 21st until the 25th, saw over 41% of registered voters casting their ballots. A total of 5,325 polling stations are open nationwide and will remain operating until 8 p.m. local time. Despite ongoing international criticism of the election process, Belarusian authorities have emphasized the rights of the vote. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hopes Europe and the United States will be involved in any talks about ending the war in Russia, he told reporters in Kiev. Following a meeting with President of Moldova, Maya Sandu, Zelensky said Ukraine also needed to be involved in any discussions on ending the war for such negotiations to have any meaningful impact. On Moldova, Zelensky said Ukraine was ready to offer the country coal as it battles through an energy crisis caused by the halting of Russian gas flow through Ukraine at the beginning of this year. At the same press conference, Zelensky said Ukraine is ready to transit gas from Azerbaijan to Europe. Zelensky spoke on Azerbaijan's large gas export capacity and proposed utilizing Ukraine's infrastructure to help European countries meet their energy needs without Russian gas. He expressed willingness to expedite agreements and infrastructure to counter Russian energy influence in Europe. Protests erupted in Berlin against the rise of the far right, coinciding with a campaign event by the Alternative for Germany in Halle. As the political landscape shifts ahead of next month's snap elections, tensions rise over potential coalition talks between the Christian Democratic Union and Alternative for Germany.
Tens of thousands gathered at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate on Saturday night to protest the rise of the far right ahead of Germany's snap elections on February 23rd. Organizers from Fridays for Future estimated 100,000 attendees, while police put the figure at 60,000. Protest coincided with a campaign event by the far-right Alternative for Germany in Halle. Participants expressed concerns over the growing far-right influence in Germany.
I find it all very frightening, what's going on right now, with the election campaign which has moved very far to the right. And yes, I stand for democracy and for openness and diversity, and I think that's what makes Germany what it is. That's why it's important to stand up and be here.
My fear is that the pressure from the far right will only intensify. I'm also hearing about it at school, how people are talking about it and how critical they are of immigrants in general, or of people who flee Ukraine, for example, because they simply no longer have the opportunity to live their lives.
In recent polls, the conservative Christian Democratic Union is leading with 30%, followed by the Alternative for Germany at 20%, and Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats at 17%. Alternative for Germany leader Alice Weidel, speaking in Halle, again pushed for remigration policies and called for an end to the political isolation of her party. The Christian Democratic Union has been urged to consider coalition talks with the Alternative for Germany.
My message to Friedrich Merz, dear Christian Democratic Union, tear down the undemocratic firewall. You must realize the will of the voters. The Alternative for Germany is ready. The voters want a blue-black coalition in the Federal Republic of Germany for a real political change.
Guest speakers at the event included Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who has previously expressed support for the Alternative for Germany, sparking controversy in Germany. Musk's backing of the far-right party has drawn significant attention and criticism, particularly given the political tensions surrounding the upcoming election. The snap election on February 23rd follows the collapse of Chancellor Scholz's coalition amid rising far-right Alternative for Germany support and debates over migration and security.
Authorities in Turkey have detained 11 more people as part of an investigation into a fire at Kartalkaya Ski Resort Hotel, taking the lives of 78 people earlier this week. The fire broke out early Tuesday in the hotel's restaurant area and spread rapidly. Emergency teams worked for over 10 hours to contain it, with support from nearby cities. So far, 25 people, including technical staff, have been detained, with 9 already arrested. Officials report that 44 of the injured have been released from hospitals. The tragedy has drawn condolences from world leaders as investigators probe safety measures at the popular winter destination. Hundreds of students gathered in Montenegro's capital city Podgorica to protest the government's response to a mass shooting. The incident that occurred in the town of Cetinje involved a 45-year-old man who shot multiple people after a bar brawl on New Year's Day, leaving 13 people dead. The demonstrators are demanding the resignation of officials they accused of failing to implement proper security measures and plan to continue their protests until their demands are met by the government. Bolivians are celebrating the traditional Imara Festival of AnewZ, where they purchase miniature items symbolizing their wishes. This year, many in La Paz are turning to tiny bundles of fake dollar bills, hoping the country's ongoing dollar shortage will soon be resolved.
In La Paz, Bolivia, locals are embracing the Imara Festival of AnewZ with a mix of tradition and newfound urgency. The annual celebration sees residents purchasing miniature replicas of their hopes and dreams, from tiny diplomas and wedding certificates to bundles of fake dollar bills, as part of an ancient ritual dedicated to the Imara god of abundance, a Kauko. Alasita, meaning by me in the Imara language, is steeped in symbolism. For generations, festival goers have sought to manifest their aspirations by buying lucky charms that reflect their personal goals. Traditionally, those hoping for professional or educational success could buy mini certificates donating various achievements and qualifications. Those wanting to marry could find mini rings or wedding certificates.
We want there to be dollars. Now there are no dollars, and everything is becoming more expensive. Now I am going to take the dollars, and this year I will have many dollars.
This year, the festival comes with a twist, as many as buying fake dollar bundles and hoping the dollar shortage the country faces ends soon. Bolivia is facing a sharp scarcity of dollars, which had led to informal currency markets emerging where dollars trade at far higher prices than the official rate that's been held stable for years.
We buy all the products with dollars, but in the banks there are no dollars anymore. We no longer know this bill because its value has risen a lot. Now things are getting more expensive. Meat. A sack of rice costs 600 Bolivianos. Sugar also went up and our money is no longer enough. If there were dollars, we would have more money.
Bolivian President Luis Arce Catacora participated in the event, appearing in the Murillo Square to receive and give away some miniature objects amid shouts demanding the shortage of dollars to end.
That's all we have for now at this hour. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to AnewZ.